Good day everyone. So we are group 4 and our topic is about interest rate. So here is our table of content. First is interest rate. Second, the cost of money. Third is interest rate level. Fourth is the determinants of market interest rates. Fifth is the term structure of interest rate. Six, what determines the shape of the yield curve. Seventh, using the yield curve to estimate future interest rate. Eight, other factors that influence interest rate level. Nine, investing overseas. And 10, interest rate and business decision. So first, what is interest rate? So interest rate is the amount that a lender charge a borrower for any kind of debt is known as interest rate. And it is typically stated as percentage of the principal. The borrowed asset may take the shape of money, big asset like a car or building, or just consumers products. So, in the cost of money, may apat na fundamentals ng cost of money. First is production opportunity. Ang production opportunity ay yung mga potential returns ng mga investors sa paglagay ng pera nila sa mga investment nila. So, kapag mataas yung return ng investment, mataas din yung cost of money nila. Second naman yung time preference for consumption. Ito yung preferred time kung kailan nila gusto i-consume, kung ngayon ba or in the future. Third naman, ito is yung risk. Ito ang level ng risk ng investment. So, if mataas yung risk, mataas din yung returns para makompensate sila for taking a chance on something na hindi nila alam kung kikita sila o hindi. So, fourth natin ay yung inflation. So, yung inflation, alam natin, yun yung pagtaas ng price for goods and services. So, yung mga investors and lenders, humihingi na mataas na interest para ma-offset ang expected loss. Tsaka parang sure na may pera pa rin sila after ng inflation. So, sa interest rate level, tama. Interest rate level, may tatlong graph akong ipapakita. Sa unang graph, Sa unang graph, nagpapakita ng crucial role ng supply at demand in determining interest rate in capital market. So, market A, nagpapakita to ng low risk security, and market B is yung high risk security. So, sa market A, nagre-represent ng scenario na wherein yung interest rate is 7% para sa low risk security, ang mga borrower na may strong credit ay pwedeng manghiram ng funds, while yung mga investors can earn 7% return sa investment nila with low risk. If nag-decline yung demand, usually dahil sa mga business recession, bababa ng 5% ang return nila. In market B, nag-cater sa mas riskier na borrowers na kailangan magbayad ng higher interest rate. So, investors in market B expect na 9% ang return dahil sa increased risk, but they are aware na maaring less yung marireceive nila. So, in the next graph, pinapakita naman dito how long and short-term interest rates sa business borrowers. Mapapansin natin na ang short-term interest rate ay volatile during recession. Kapag yung economy natin nag-expand or maganda, nagli-lead ng pag-increase ng capital demand. Kaya tumataas din ng interest rate. Kapag naman nasa recession naman, ang mga business nagre-reduce ng demand for credit, yung inflation bumabaksak, at yung mga interest rin bumababa din. Kaya ang government, kaya yung mga government tends to increase supply para ma-boost or ma-stimulate ang economy. So, sa last graph naman, pinapakita naman dito yung relationship between inflation and long-term rates. Noong early 1960s, yung inflation nag-average na 1% annually at long-term bonds interest rate ay 4%. Noong nag-intensify yung Vietnam War, nag-increase yung inflation at nag-upward trend ang interest rate. After matapos yung war in early 1970s, buwaba bahagya yung inflation, pero noong 1973, tumaas ulit yung inflation at interest rate dahil sa pagtaas ng oil. So, yung inflation nag-peak ng 13% noong 1980s, pero continuous ng increase noong 1981 hanggang 1985 dahil marami ang natatakot na baka bigla mag-surge o mag-increase pa ang inflation, pero gumawa ng paraan yung government para bumaba ang inflation at interest rate. So next topic is about the determinants of market rate interest rate. So first is real risk-free rate of interest. So yung real risk-free rate of interest ay yung theoretical rate na nag-exist kung walang inflation or risk sa pag-i-invest o pag-lend ng pera. Nire-represent nito ang baseline return ng mga investors kung magkano mababalik sa kanila after mag-invest sa risk-free investment. Pangalawa naman is yung nominal or quoted risk-free rate of interest. So ito naman, nag-o-offer ng completely safe na investment tulad ng mga short-term US Treasury bills or bonds. This rate ay kinoconsider na risk-free dahil no chance of losing money nga. Next, in inflation premium. So yung inflation premium ay yung additional return or interest na nire-require ng investor to compensate for expected loss due to inflation. Pang-apat naman is default risk premium. Ito naman yung extra return or interest na demand para makompensate o makover ang risk na maaring hindi na makakabayad. Risk na maaring hindi makakabayad ng loan. Para siyang insurance free para maprotektahan ang sarili nila in case na hindi magbayad yung borrower. Panglima naman ay liquid premium. So yung liquid premium, additional return or interest na kinocompensate yung lack of liquidity sa investment. So ito yung example nito is yung mga real estate, mga rare items, mga painting, parang ganon. So yung maturity risk naman, additional return in interest additional return or interest rate para makompensate ang risk and uncertainty na meron sa paghawak ng long-term bonds. Dahil matagal mag-mature ang mga long-term bonds, maaari mag-fluctuate or magbago yung interest rate.
The term structure of interest rates, also known as the yield curve, depicts the interest rates of similar quality bonds at different maturities. And the term structure has three primary shapes. A normal yield curve, it's a positive curve dahil ini-indicate nito yung patuloy na pagpa-function na at paglago ng economy rate. And yung inverted yield curve, it's a negative curve naman dahil ini-indicate nito yung pag-atras o pagkalugi ng economy rate dahil sa pababandaloy nito. Flat yield curve, wait, pabalik muna. Flat yield curve, see no difference between short and long-term investment. Kumbaga, walang kasiguraduhan yung economy rate nito for the future. In short, yung term structure of interest rate is basehan nila kung kumikita ba o kikita yung isang company sa ganitong long-term or short-term based sa rate na meron nito. Next. What determines the the shape of the yield curve. Next ako.
Yes.
Ah. Panel A shows when inflation is expected to increase, and panel B shows when inflation is expected to decline. Maturity risk premium is the extra return or interest na nakukuha ng isang investor for risking a long-term bonds. In inflation premium, it's additional return na nire-require ng isang investors para punan yung pagbaba ng halaga ng kanilang ini-invest dahil sa inflation. Real risk-free rate, ito yung interest rate na inaasahan na makuha ng isang investor. Then yung formula nito is T-bond yield is equal to R star plus IP or inflation premium plus maturity risk premium. Next. Parang ito, 2.50% plus 3% plus 0% is equal to 5.50%. Then, next na ako. Using the yield curve to estimate future interest rate, the yield curve tells what investors' expectations for interest rates are and whether they believe the economy is going to be expanding or contracting. So, assume that the 2-year Treasury securities currently yield 5.5% and hold it for 2 years.
So, yung other factors that influence interest rate levels is first yung next mo nga. Ito. So, meron tayo Federal Reserve Policy, Federal Budget Deficit or Surplus, and Foreign Trade Deficit and Business Activity. So, yung Federal Reserve Policy, it controls the money supply and its action can stimulate or tighten the economy affecting short-term or interest rates. Ibig sabihin nito, yung Federal Reserve Policy or yung Fed, sila yung mga nagko-control ng money supply ng isang bansa. Yung action na gagawin nila, pwede siyang mag-cause ng short-term or interest rates para ma-decline. Kasi kapag malaki yung money supply, pwede itong mag-result ng pagtaas ng inflation or interest rates. Yung ginagawa kasi ng Fed, sila yung nagde-determine or tumutukoy kung magkano yung magiging kita ng mga businesses at saka consumer para humiram sila ng pera. Sa pamamagitan nito, madi-decide nila kung tataasan ba or bababaan nila yung mga or pananatilihin nila yung interest rate ng isang bansa. So yung sa federal budget deficit naman, yung ginagawa ng government is ini-increase nila yung demand for funds and pushes up interest rates. Kapag yung government kasi mas malaki yung inilalabas na pera nila kaysa dun sa na-earn, nagka-create yun ng deficit. Yung deficit is also can describe as loss or shortage. Kapag nagkaroon ng deficit sa isang bansa, nagre-require to ng additional borrowing or printing money. Kumbaga, naghihiram tayo sa karatig na bansa para maano natin yung pera ng country natin para ma-balance natin yung flow ng cash. Yung dalawang to, pwede siya mag-increase ng interest rate or magpababa ng reinvestment sa bansa natin. Para maging surplus siya, para makorek yung deficit, ang gagawin ng government is pwede nilang mag-cut spending or magpataas ng presyo ng mga bilihin. Yun nga yung mga yung magkakaroon ng price hikes, yung excessive taxation, kumbaga matataas yung mga presyo ng mga bilihin natin, tapos yung yung mga tax ng businesses is lalong tataas. Kapag naging surplus naman yung budget ng Fed ng government is ibig sabihin lang neto, naging effective yung pagmamanage ng mga finances ng isang economy. Yung example ng surplus sa Philippines is noong taong 1990s to early 2000s with 1.3% GDP surplus. Yung 2013 naman at saka 2015, nagkaroon ng surplus sa bansa natin noong panahon ni President Benigno Aquino III. with 0.2% and 0.5% in 2013 and 2014. Pero syempre tuloy-tuloy naman yung deficit after nun kasi dahil sa mga temporary lang kasi yung surplus sa atin eh. Dahil din naman sa pagkakaroon ng changes sa mga tao na namumuno sa bansa natin at saka yung condition ng global economic at saka natural disasters natin. Yun yung nagiging dahilan kaya nagkakaroon ng deficit at saka surplus. So yung foreign trade deficit naman, the situation that exists when a country imports more than it exports. Ibig sabihin, mas marami tayong nakukonsume na goods and services galing ibang bansa kaysa tayo yung nagpo-produce ng mga local products natin. Kumbaga yung sa may rice at saka yung sa onions dati during pandemic, nagkaroon ng parang nagkakulang ng mga products sa bansa natin. Ang nangyari, tayo yung nanghihiram or tayo yung bumibili ng bigas sa karatig bansa which is yung Malaysia or Indonesia. Kaya mas mataas yung mas mataas yung nai-imports natin kaysa na-export. Kaya nagkakaroon ng foreign trade deficit. Yung business activity naman, this also affects interest rates with recessions. Yung recessions, nagli-lead to ng lower rates. Yung Fed kasi, sila yung wala silang complete control sa US. Kaya yung mga interest rates natin, nagpa-factor siya ng inflation and nag-e-expect to ng global economic condition can influence rates. So next naman po, next page. Ayan, measuring country risk. It measures the level of country risk in different countries and provides indexes that indicate factors such as each country's expected economic performance, access to the world capital markets, political stability, and level of internal conflicts. Yung measuring country risk, yung higher na country risk score natin is kapag mataas yung country score, which is yung 100, nagkakaroon ng possible na yung country is magkakaroon sila ng least country risk or mababang risk, ganon. Kapag yung country with least country risk all have strong market-based economies, ready access to the world and capital markets, relatively little social unrest and stable political climate. Ibig sabihin, kapag mababa yung country risk ng isang bansa, yung mga yung mga gusto mag-invest doon sa bansa na yon is parang willing sila mag-invest kasi na-assure sila na mababa yung pwedeng maging risk ng pagkuha nila ng business doon. Kunwari, magtatayo ka ng business sa US. Kapag napansin mo na mababa yung country risk doon, syempre gaganahan ka na magpatayo pa ng marami pang mga businesses at saka mag-invest kasi hindi ka malulugi. Pero pag mataas yung country risk ng isang bansa, syempre magdadalawang isip ka na mag-invest doon kasi baka bumagsak lang yung gagawin mong negosyo. Next po. Ate Day, next. Ayan. Investing overseas. Meron bang niyan? Next page. Ayan. Yung investing overseas involves two main risks, which is yung country risk at saka yung exchange rate risk. Yung country risk, it refers to the risk that is attributed to investing in particular country. The risk depends on the country's economic, political, and social environment. Parang yung katulad ng sinabi ko kanina, doon kasi kanina mini-measure yung country risk. Yung pinaka nun is 100%. Dito naman sa may country risk lang. Ang country risk sa investing overseas, ito yung nagme-measure and nag-identify ng risk na pwedeng maka-apekto sa isang business. Ito yung magiging basis ng mga investor kung safe or worth it mag-invest sa isang company. And yung risk na yun is assurance din yun ng mga company na sa mga investors sa willing mag-invest sa kanila na safe and profitable yung company nila. Ang exchange rate risk naman emerges when investing in foreign currency, as returns depend on exchange rate fluctuations. The overall foreign investment return is influenced by both the foreign security performance and exchange rate changes. Yung exchange rate risk naman, yung for example nito, if yung US investor nag-purchase sila sa Japanese or di kaya dito sa Philippines ng bonds, and yung interest will probably be paid in peso, which must then be converted into dollars, ganyan. Before yung investor mag-spend ng pera niya doon sa sa company na yun or doon sa sa US, sa bansa na yun, is syempre i-identify niya muna kung mababa ba yung halaga ng peso sa dollar. Kapag napansin niya na mas mababa yung kapag natingin niya mababa yung yung changes ng currency ng peso sa dollar, syempre hindi na siya mag-i-invest. Kasi kunwari mas mataas yung wait lang. Kapag mas malaki yung dollar, yung peso kaysa sa dollar, magi-invest siya dito sa bansa natin. Pero pag mababa yung currency ng peso kaysa sa dollar, hindi siya magi-invest. Parang ganon. Yung performance ng foreign security and changes in exchange rate. Next naman is yung interest rates and business decision. Ay, tepa, next page. Ito, yung ayan. Ito yung four most fundamental factors that affect the cost of money or the general level of interest rates in the economy. Parang nabanggit na din to ni Dairin sa explanation niya kanina, which is yung real risk-free rate, inflation, pero nadagdagan lang ng default risk at saka liquidity risk. Dahil nabanggit niya na yung real risk-free rate at saka yung inflation, mag-focus na lang tayo dito sa default risk at saka liquidity risk. Yung function ng default risk kasi, also known as the profitability or counterparty risk. Most likely yung borrower dito is hindi nakapagbayad ng utang nila doon sa lender. Ito yung default risk. Pwede itong mangyari sa mga individuals, company, and even governments. Kumbaga yung lenders and investors, ako consider yung default risk kapag nade-decide nila yung whether mag-loan ba sila or magbabayad ng bonds. A higher level of default risk typically requires the borrower to pay a higher interest rate. Example nito, yung isang borrower mayroon siyang high default risk. Kapag mayroon silang poor credit rating history, limited lang yung cash flow nila, and also if their financial stability and employment status hindi maganda, kapag ganito yung credit history nila, yung information nila, pwede silang i-reject or ma-denied ng lender na pag-aanuhan nila ng loan. Katulad sa may kotse, kunwari maglo-loan ka ng car, hindi ka papayagan nung pag-aanuhan mo ng loan na yon kapag hindi maganda yung credit history mo. Kailangan maganda siya, tapos talagang sure sila na makakapagbayad ka on time. Yung liquidity risk naman, it is the risk that an asset or security cannot be converted into cash without significant loss in value. Yung parang hindi mako-convert hindi mako-convert sa yung pera kapag walang significant loss doon sa may value ng pera na yon. Kunwari, yung pera ng currency is 1,000. Yung hindi magkakaroon ng mababang value yung 1,000. Ganon yung liquidity risk. Next page po. Ay, ayun na pala. Yun, thank you.